morning, and welcome to the 2015 commencement exercises for the University of Georgia School of Law. We are blessed with wonderful weather, but I know it's warm out there. And so for all of you who are feeling a little hot, I just want to assure you that there are water stations at the back of the quad, and by all means feel free to get some water if you need to. There will be a photo pit for you at the front to take photos of your sons or daughters, spouses, friends as they cross the stage. We want to make sure you're comfortable. At this time, could I ask all of you to please be sure that your cell phones are turned off or are put on vibrate. And with that, I would ask you to please rise as our national anthem is sung by third-year law student Greg Jacobson.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. Please be seated. And thank you to the fine women and men, including many alums of this school, who stand in harm's way today through service to their country. On the building to your right, you will find the following quote from Georgia's late governor, Carl Sanders. "The people of Georgia want and deserve nothing short of the best. The University of Georgia School of Law is therefore to be one of such excellence that no citizen of Georgia need ever leave the state because a superior education is available elsewhere." Governor Sanders was one of the greatest friends in the history of the law school and the University of Georgia, and he has left us an enduring legacy. Yet long before he uttered those words, he sat in a chair no different from you, members of the class of 2015. Undoubtedly, he sat in that chair with all of the same feelings you have right now: a sense of accomplishment, a jittery excitement, and perhaps a slight fear of the unknown. Many who have sat in those chairs undoubtedly shared those same feelings and went on to leave their own legacies to the university, the state, the nation, and the world. Alums like Edith House, a member of the class of 1925, the school's first female graduate, co-valedictorian, who went on to serve for 32 years as a federal prosecutor in Florida when few women were welcome into our profession. Alums like Chester Davenport, a member of the class of 1966, the school's first African-American graduate. This Athens native went on to become an extraordinarily successful business person and is one of the law school's most generous patrons. Perhaps your legacy will be that of the late B. Avant Edenfield, a double dog who received his law degree in 1958, went on to serve in the United States Army, the Georgia Senate, and for 35 years on the federal bench, where he hired law clerks almost exclusively from his alma mater. Other alumni and alumnae of this law school sat in those chairs and join us today to acknowledge your accomplishments. Individuals like former Georgia Supreme Court Justice George Carley, a member of the class of 1962. President Jerry Moorhead, a member of the class of 1980. The Honorable Steve Jones, a member of the class of 1987. And Professor Elizabeth Weeks Leonard, a member of the class of 1999. Today, as you cross this stage, following in their footsteps, you continue a journey begun when you enrolled in this law school. And it is a journey that you did not undertake alone. The parents, spouses, partners, children, relatives, and friends who are here today supported you in this journey. The faculty and staff of the law school have been honored to accompany you on this journey, and we will always be here for you long after this journey takes you beyond the walls of North Campus. And so may I ask you, members of the class of 2015, for a round of applause for those who accompanied you on the journey that brought you to where you are today. Sometimes the folks accompanying you on this journey are highly visible figures. Sometimes they are unsung heroes. And in that spirit, I would like to ask to join me on the stage Mr. Kenny Kofer. Mr. Kofer, who is in his 20th year, is part of the law school's dedicated maintenance staff, working late nights and long hours to make the place where you lived and worked a beautiful one. One member of the law school team described Kenny as someone who always asked, "How can I help?" Someone for whom no task is too burdensome, no hour too late to work. Kenny was here early this morning, taking care of every detail that made today possible. And so I would ask all of us, in the spirit of honoring the unsung heroes in this journey, to acknowledge me in acknowledging Kenny with a round of applause. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the president of the class of 2015, Ms. Sarah Richards. Sarah is originally from Lubbock, Texas, and did her undergraduate work at the George Washington University, where she earned a degree in psychology and was a member of its Division I swimming team. While at Georgia Law, Sarah has served her class as 1L Vice President for Section Y, 2L Class Vice President, and finally the 3L Class President. She is also a member of the editorial board and an articles editor of the Georgia Law Review. Welcome, Sarah.
Good morning. President Moorhead, Dean Rutledge, Judge Jones, distinguished faculty, fellow graduates, honored guests, family, and friends. On behalf of the Georgia Law class of 2015, welcome to this year's commencement ceremony. I am so honored to have the opportunity to give this welcome address, but I have to be honest. When I was first told that I'd be speaking today, I panicked a lot, and for two reasons. Primarily, I had no idea what I could possibly say to this group of professors, classmates, and guests who undoubtedly have more experience and knowledge than I do, and all of whom are more qualified to give this speech. And secondly, and more embarrassingly, I was really afraid that nobody would laugh at my jokes. After all, I'm not a stand-up comedian like Brian Stoltz. But after the panicking subsided, I was able to figure out a way to address both of these concerns. If the past 3 years at UGA Law has taught me anything, it is to search for the most effective solution to a problem and to implement it in a clear and concise way. So, to encourage you all to laugh at my jokes, I've made you a cue card. This way, if you completely zone out or simply don't think my jokes are funny, just laugh when you see the cue card. When all else fails, remember the cue card. Unfortunately, my primary concern could not be addressed with something as simple as a cue card. I reached out to professors, spoke with friends, and called every member of my family, and everyone gave me great advice about how to approach this speech. However, no one could compete with the almighty power of Google. It took almost no time at all for Google to tell me exactly what to say to make this speech memorable and inspirational. So, while I appreciate the input of everyone I spoke with, I'm afraid I'm going to have to go with Google. So here it is, the perfect commencement welcome address in just 42 steps. Just kidding, there are only 5. Step number 1, tell a joke or a funny story to grab the audience's attention. Okay, 2 UGA law grads walk into the bar. Well, I guess we'll have to wait until October to let you know how that one ends. But see, I told you I'm no stand-up comedian, so let's practice with the cue card. Step number 2, share a few stories or memories about your time at this university. Well, honestly, right now, only a few days after the end of final exams, it's pretty easy to think about some of the not-so-fun things we've done over the past 3 years. The thousands of pages of reading, the hundreds of hours spent in the law library, and the terrified feeling of getting called on when you're unprepared for class. But really, when we look back on our time spent at UGA, I'm pretty sure those won't be the things that come to mind. What we'll actually remember are the tailgates on North Campus and cheering for the dogs on Saturdays. We'll remember going to Barrister's Ball and only occasionally going to Magnolias on Thursday nights. We'll remember the relief we felt after our last final of 1L year and then heading to the Georgia Theater to celebrate with one another. And thanks to Dean Kurtz, we will always remember that class registration is not first come, first served. Step number 3, discuss how your class will be remembered by others. Well, obviously, I had no idea how our class would be remembered by others. So for this step, I reached out to a few of our professors. I asked each of them to share a memory they'd have about our class or a piece of advice they'd like us to keep in mind as we leave UGA Law. And it was undoubtedly one of the best things I've gotten to do in law school because I finally got to give them an assignment. So how will our professors remember the class of 2015? Professor Baradaran will remember our class as the first group of 1Ls she taught here at UGA. And she will remember when Amanda McDowell described her as, and here I quote, that one professor who started class on the first day by walking in and grilling a student mercilessly for the entire class period. Professor Shipley will remember us as the class that did a slightly cringeworthy version of the Gangnam Style video. And he'll remember thinking that Kerry Miller was beginning his campaign to become the governor of Georgia for 2030, only a few weeks into our first semester of law school. Dean Rutledge will remember our class as full of careful listeners like Hillary Kinsey, zealous advocates like Whitney Judson, and inquisitive minds like Veronica O'Grady. And George Ray, Dean Rutledge would also like to let you know that we've finally forgiven you for attending Georgia Tech for undergrad. Professor Coonan will remember our class for the not-so-subtle April Fool's joke spearheaded by Peyton Bell, in which every member of his Con Law 2 class turned in a note saying they were unprepared to discuss the class materials for that day. He'll remember our class as, and I quote, totally awesome. Dean Brown would like former Section X to remember that Tom Haverford's Tommy Fresh smells better than Diddy's Unforgivable. Unfortunately, I wasn't in Dean Brown's class, so let's use the cue card for this one too. Professor Watson hopes that her former students will remember enough criminal law to stay out of trouble. And Professor Lanier would like all of us to remember the things that drew us to study law and to use that spark to help to evolve the profession to better serve the community. And finally, Professor Rodriguez wants all of us to remember that Georgia law will always be a home for us and to come back and visit often. Step number 4, gratitude. Be sure to take time to thank all the people that helped you on this journey. This one I took a bit more seriously. First, to all of our professors, thank you for teaching us how to think. You've forced us to think critically, analyze problems from all sides, and argue for our positions. You've prepared us for our future practice, even though we probably looked like deer in the headlights most of the time. Secondly, to my classmates, thank you for being competitive. We've pushed each other, held each other accountable, and helped each other survive. And even though the past 3 years have been challenging, we've managed to have some fun along the way. And last, but certainly not least, to all of our family members and friends, thank you all sincerely for putting up with us. The panic phone calls, the missed Thanksgiving breaks, and the endless explanations of torts law that you probably didn't really care about. You've endured them all, and for this we are truly grateful. We would never have made it this far without you. Step number 5, conclusion. Wrap up with some inspirational words and bring your audience full circle. Well, I don't know about inspirational words, but I've had the time of my life getting to know and learning from each of you. We're all graduating, moving on, and about to begin our careers, and no matter how we plan on using our legal degrees, we will each have the opportunity to use our knowledge and skills to help others. We're about to enter a field of practice that can be very fulfilling, but can also be tough, time-consuming, and stressful. So we should all remember to channel our inner Ferris Bueller, who said it best. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. So don't forget to take the time to keep in touch with the friends you've made here, watch the dogs play on Saturdays, and spend time with your families. Remember to keep a sense of humor. Remember to laugh. Maya Angelou said, "Laugh as much as possible. Always laugh. It is the sweetest thing one can do for oneself and one's fellow human being." So I guess my cue card wasn't such a bad idea after all. Congratulations, class of 2015. Go Dogs. It is now my distinct honor to introduce the president of the Georgia Law Alumni Association, Ms. Jennifer Jordan. Ms. Jordan is a partner at the law firm of Shamp, Speed, Jordan, Woodward in Atlanta, where she specializes in complex civil cases, business disputes, investment fraud, whistleblower actions, and consumer class actions. Ms. Jordan is a transplant from South Georgia, and though she has not lived there in over 20 years, her small-town background informs her approach to the law. Ms. Jordan graduated magna cum laude from this law school. She was an editorial board member and an articles editor for the Georgia Law Review, and a member of the school's award-winning National Moot Court team. After graduating, she served as a federal law clerk to the United States District Court Judge Anthony A. Alimo. Ms. Jordan has been both a pupil and barrister with the Joseph Henry Lumpkin Inn of Court. She was also named to the Order of the Barristers for outstanding oral advocacy and to the Order of the Coif, recognizing law graduates who graduate in the top 10% of their class. Ms. Jordan has clearly had quite a successful career so far, as she has been recognized on several 40 under 40 lists of outstanding lawyers. I'd like to invite Ms. Jordan, the Vice President of the Class of 2015, Robert Arrington, and Dean Rutledge to the podium to accept this year's class gift. Together, the Class of 2015 has helped prepare Georgia law for the future by pledging $60,000 to the University of Georgia Legacy Fund.
Good morning. And let me say thank you first for the pledges. They're incredibly important. And really what I want to say is good morning to the future brothers and sisters at the bar, because that's really what you are. In minutes, you're going to be alumni of the University of Georgia School of Law. In many parts of the United Kingdom, instead of alumnus, they use the term old boy or old girl. I promise that we're never going to do that to you. You are excited, as Dean Rutledge said, and maybe a little apprehensive about what being a lawyer really, really means. But I'm not even going to try to touch any of that right now. But what I'm going to tell you is that however you decide to practice law, there are things that will make it more enriching and meaningful. Stay connected to each other, stay connected to the law school, And you can do that in various ways. You can marry a fellow graduate like I did, or you can just come to the homecoming barbecue. It can be real simple. The fact is, both you and the school benefit from staying connected. And if you stay connected, you're going to find that we're an incredibly tight-knit community. We help each other. We celebrate the successes of our fellow alums. Just recently, Sally Yates was confirmed as the #2 official at Justice. Incredibly important and historical event. And we grieve together, as we've done recently with the passing of Judge Edenfield. Graduation is not the end of your relationship with Georgia law. It's really the beginning. But it isn't a passive relationship, it's an active one. And it's about giving back. And so I'll hit the hardest first, because it is about giving back in terms of money. And it's something you've already done in terms of the legacy contribution. Not everyone knows this, but every scholarship dollar that's awarded to Georgia law students has to come from private funds. We're a public institution, and so the only way that we can give scholarships to deserving students is if our alumni base actually give back after graduating. The need is real, and meeting that need is vitally important to actually living up to what Governor Sanders wanted for this school. But beyond that, it's about giving time. Be a mentor to somebody. Stay engaged with the faculty. Use them as a resource, because they really are the smartest people in the universe. And then even apart from that, when you become employed, if you aren't already, encourage your employers to hire other Georgia graduates. And then when you're in the position one day where you're hiring another lawyer or an associate, and believe me, all of you will be there one day, hire a Georgia graduate. I've always done that, and I have never been disappointed. So on behalf of those who have come before, like Dean Rutledge said, federal judges, governors, members of Congress, ambassadors, professors, and even presidents of esteemed universities, we welcome you to our ranks. We are truly proud of each of you and proud to call you a fellow alumnus, a member of our family, a fellow brother or sister at the bar. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. One of the great hallmarks of a public law school, particularly one that forms part of a land grant and sea grant institution, is that many of our graduates go on to serve citizens of the state. For many law students, answering that call of service begins through participation in one of the law school's many clinical or experiential programs. For some brief reflections on how to remember the needs of the state's citizens as you proceed in your legal career, let me invite to the podium the newest Associate Dean of the University of Georgia School of Law, the Associate Dean of Clinical Programs and Experiential Learning, holder of the Allen Post Professor of Law, and the recent recipient of the Hosea Miggs Professorship, the university's highest teaching honor, Dean Erica Hashimoto.
Thank you so much, Dean Rutledge. I have the privilege of getting to brag for a moment about the legal services that this remarkable group of students has already provided over the past couple of years to people throughout the state of Georgia and across the country. 2/3 of you participated in a clinical program during your time here, providing legal services to a range of people and organizations, from people with no roofs over their heads to call home, to victims of domestic violence who desperately needed you to help guarantee their safety, to our state and federal governments, prosecutors' offices, judges' chambers, and administrative agencies, all of which need legal talent, to criminal defendants whose liberty rested in your hands, to small business owners trying to stay afloat. You represented all of them, providing not just your legal assistance, but also your passion, commitment, and compassion. So I want to say, on behalf of all of those to whom you provided legal services, thank you. You made a difference either in a person's life or in our society as a whole. I commend you for those efforts. And I hope that most of you will carry some of those experiences with you as you move forward in your careers. You will all have experienced crushing losses and heady victories, days when you were overwhelmed and days that probably belong on a reality show. So here is my catalog of just a couple of examples. Beginning with the losses. As a group, I know you have suffered some crushing losses. Your resilience and commitment in the face of those losses inspires great confidence in the future of the legal profession. Two of my students, Sarah Hill and Dove Preminger, filed briefs on behalf of an indigent criminal defendant who was suing the federal government for violating his constitutional rights. Sarah and Dove had an uphill battle. Every other court to have ruled on this issue had ruled against our position. But Dove and Sarah fought. And when we lost, their first thought was not that they had to take exams, which they did. Their first thought was to try to find a way to get review of that decision, even though it meant more work for them. That commitment and dedication demonstrates the hallmark of the finest lawyers. I am incredibly proud that they are our graduates. But we also have had victories for our clients, improving the quality of their lives. For instance, Richie Lopez and Carrie Moss's diligent and resourceful advocacy on behalf of a disabled health clinic client resulted in a $200 increase in their client's monthly benefits level. $200 can be the difference between homelessness and some stability. And Richie and Carrie also uncovered multiple agency errors, leading to significant underpayments dating back almost a year. Richie will be returning to litigate those issues in an administrative hearing next week for no credit since he's graduating. That's incredible devotion. You also devoted hundreds of hours, and my students likely would say thousands of hours, to your work with the clinics. Those hours were incredibly valuable to the people you served, and also hopefully to each of you as you grew and stretched and learned to be lawyers. Caroline Bradley is my poster child on this point. Caroline enrolled in the criminal defense clinic for 3 semesters, representing, during her 3rd year, defendants charged in criminal cases. During her 3rd year, Caroline became such a fixture in the court that after she completed her final semester, people in the courthouse there were genuinely confused about why the public defender office no longer had that terrific attorney who always was there. Caroline spent so many hours there, they didn't realize that she was still a law student. Finally, I want to recognize those who have, with grace and courage, worked through the challenges of actually practicing law. Some of those challenges you probably expected when you came to law school, but as many of you discovered, you will encounter every variety of challenge in your practice. This is the really fun, but completely scary part about being a lawyer, and it requires a lot of skill to manage. So here's my last story. Christina Hartzell Barrett was the mediator in a debt collection case related to a dental bill. She had all of the mediation tools and was completely ready for the mediation. So here was her challenge. The respondent offered to give the pulled tooth back to the dentist as settlement for the debt. And if that wasn't enough, he was ready to throw in his saxophone as well. Ever flexible in the face of circumstances we would not possibly be able to invent, Christina quickly rose to the challenge. And somewhat stunningly, she managed to mediate a settlement in that case. I am incredibly proud of the work that each and every member of this class did, and I would like everyone to join me in a round of applause, thanking them for their efforts. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Vice President of the class of 2015, Mr. Robert Arrington. Robert is from Marietta, Georgia. He did his undergraduate work here at UGA, where he double majored in economics and Spanish. In addition to serving his class in the Student Bar Association, Robert was active in the American Constitution Society and worked with the Athens Public Defender. After the bar exam, Robert plans to start his career with the Brunswick Judicial Circuit Public Defender. Robert's fondest memories of the past 3 years at Georgia Law include the privilege of learning from so many accomplished professors in the classroom and the great times he had with his classmates outside of it, be it in the library or during the ride back from Jacksonville after this year's Georgia-Florida game.
Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our 2015 commencement speaker, the Honorable Steve C. Jones. On January 5th, 2011, Judge Jones was nominated by President Barack Obama to become a United States District Judge. He was sworn in as a district judge on March 4th, 2011. In this role, Judge Jones presides over cases that involve the United States government, the United States Constitution, federal laws, controversies between citizens of different states, and other matters. Prior to his nomination to the District Court, Judge Jones served as a Superior Court judge in the Western Judicial Circuit, which is here in Athens, Clarke, and Oconee counties. Judge Jones was appointed to the Superior Court in 1995. In this role, Judge Jones presided over civil and criminal cases. In addition to his regular caseload, Judge Jones also presided over the Western Judicial Circuit Felony Drug Court Program, which is a program that integrates alcohol and substance abuse treatment with court supervision. Prior to Superior Court judicial appointment, Judge Jones served as an Athens Clarke County Municipal Court judge, an assistant district attorney for the Western Judicial Circuit, and as the director of the Athens Child Support Recovery Unit. Judge Jones has offered his time and leadership to numerous academic, community, legal, and social organizations. He is a managing trustee for the University of Georgia Foundation and a member of the University of Georgia Athletic Association Board. He is the immediate past president of UGA's Alumni Association and the UGA chapter of the National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame. Judge Jones is a member of the Old Warhorse Lawyers Club and the Lawyers Club of Atlanta. He is the former chair of the Georgia Judicial Qualifications Commission, the University of Georgia School of Law's Board of Visitors, and the Athens Area Community Foundation. Judge Jones has also served on the Georgia Supreme Court's Commission on Equality and the Domestic Violence Committee, and he is a master in the Joseph Henry Lumpkin American Inn of Court. Judge Jones has won many awards for his judicial and community service. For example, in 1998, he was the recipient of the Chief Justice Robert Benham Award for Community Service. In 2007, he received the Volunteer of the Year Award, presented by the Junior League of Athens and Athens First Bank and Trust. Also in 2007, he was named Omega Citizen of the Year by the Zeta Beta Beta chapter of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. Judge Jones has also received the Gate City Bar Association's Outstanding Jurist Award, the University of Georgia School of Law's Distinguished Service Scroll Award, and the University of Georgia's Fulfilling the Dream Award. Other awards and honors include receiving Leadership Georgia's E. Dale Threadgill Community Service Award, the Association of Legal Professionals Legal Professional of the Year Award, and the State Bar Young Lawyers Division Judicial Service Award. Judge Jones has also been named an honorary member of the Blue Key Honor Society, a fellow of the Lawyers Foundation of Georgia Incorporated, and a Rotary Club Paul Harris Fellow. Judge Jones attended the University of Georgia and received his Bachelor of Business Administration in 1978 and his JD in 1987. He is married to Lillian Kinsey. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Steve C. Jones.
Well, let me say good morning to everyone. President Moorhead, Dean Rutledge, distinguished members of the podium, faculty, staff, family, friends, and the graduating class of 2015. It is indeed a great honor and pleasure to have the opportunity to be the speaker for the 2015 lawsuit commencement. And let me say, for a boy that grew up in Athens, Georgia, and the University of Georgia has always been a major part of my life, to have the opportunity to stand here today is almost beyond words. And my wife told me not to have too many words to say today. You know, one of the greatest opportunities I've had in life, though, is to attend and graduate from this great law school. To be able to stand here today as the commencement speaker for a school that I care a lot about is a special honor. And I want to thank you, the class of 2015, for giving me this opportunity. And I especially want to thank Dean Rutledge, a great friend, who extended the invitation to allow me to be here today. Dean Rutledge, you are a pleasure to work with, and I thank you for all you do in your friendship. And it's always great and an honor to work with my friend, President Moorhead, in any capacity. To Robert Arrington, Anytime you want a clerkship, just let me know, okay? My wife heard that great introduction earlier. So that means I may not have to take the trash out when I go home today. To the family members of these graduates, I want to commend and congratulate you as well. They would not be sitting here today without your help and support. You made the difference. You were there for them, and now they owe you a round of applause. So let's thank the family members and friends graduating class of 2015. To this graduating class of 2015, congratulations. I want to commend you on your commitment for making it the challenges and overcoming the hardships you have to overcome, and for being such an outstanding graduating class. Your accomplishments here at UGA are many, and I have no doubt that each one of you all will be very successful attorneys in whatever practice of law you enter. I also have no doubt that President Moorhead and Dean Rutledge will be very happy if you share some of that success annually with the UGA Law School and UGA. Today I want to talk to you about three things that I believe makes a successful attorney: responsibility, honor, and service. On December 23rd, 1987, at the Athens Clarke County Courthouse, located about 2 blocks from here, I walked into the courthouse that day after making sure I met all requirements for graduation. And I went up to the 3rd floor, and with family and friends watching, Superior Court Judge James Barrow administered to me the oath that allowed me to become a member of the Georgia Bar. But when he finished giving me the oath, he turned to me and said, "You now represent me." Now, being a lawyer for a full 30 seconds at that point, I was hoping he was saying what I thought he was saying. But he proceeded to say to me, as a member of the Georgia Bar, what I said or did henceforth will reflect back on him and every member of the Georgia Bar. He told me how people viewed the legal system could be determined by my deeds and actions. Very shortly, each one of you all will receive an LLM degree or a JD degree, and you will graduate from this great university. And some of you will take the Georgia Bar or some state bar in the next few months, and you will pass it because you're UGA graduates. And you then will share in the responsibility of representing the legal profession. What you do and say in every respect in your life will have an effect on the public's view and how the public thinks about lawyers. Individuals' respect for the law and their confidence in the legal system will be affected by your actions. You will have the responsibility to represent the legal profession in a positive manner. In the communities that you go to live in, you will be the symbol for the law. Through your words and actions, you will become the face of the legal profession. And there are a number of ways you can represent the legal profession in a positive way. And in my opinion, one of the best ways to represent the legal profession starts with your reputation. There's no amount of money more important than having a good reputation. There's no case, no client, no job more important than having and maintaining a good reputation. Nothing will benefit you more as a lawyer than to be known as a person who is honest and trustworthy. And let me suggest to you that the measure of success is not always the size or location of your office, the type of car you drive, the size of your bank account, the amount of authority you possess, or how popular you are. Being known as someone who can be trusted and who is truthful is very important in determining your success. And to this regard, you should work daily to make sure that you protect your good reputation. Because once you lose it, sometimes it's very hard to regain, and sometimes you never regain it back. Never let it be said about you truthfully that you cannot be trusted, that your word means nothing. Your personal integrity is the foundation which you will build your career as a lawyer. Anything built on a strong foundation can withstand the temptations that will come their way. Now, sitting to my right this morning are brilliant legal minds. However, I have known lawyers with great legal abilities that failed in the law world because they lacked honesty and integrity. I want to tell you this morning, the end does not justify the means. Winning at all costs will never bring you satisfaction or the reward to enable you to sleep at night. I'm reminded of a statement made by a former Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals judge, the Honorable Albert Tuttle, who in essence once pondered the question, what is a share of a person's worth? And he said, if that person does not contain the quality of integrity, that person is worthless. If the person does contain the quality of integrity, that person is priceless. Great legal ability will not overcome a lack of integrity. As lawyers, you will be the guardians of the law, and you will have the obligation to maintain the highest standard of ethical conduct. Your actions should rise above the minimum standards. You know, that day, for over 27 years, I've tried to fulfill the obligations for Judge Barrow and all the people that preceded me. You now have that responsibility. You now have the responsibility of taking on that tradition set by Thomas Jefferson, Constant Baker Motley, Chief Justice George Carlin. Never have said, and no lawyer wants to ever say it, that the law profession and the people in the law profession have lost respect for them, because it is the ultimate sanction. Now, along with the responsibilities that come with being an attorney also comes, and in my opinion, one of the greatest honors of being an attorney. To have the opportunity to be an attorney or lawyer is a great honor, because the legal profession is a noble profession. Yes, we are the punchline for a lot of jokes, but when you look at the history of our great nation, lawyers have played a vital role. From the Bill of Rights to the Civil Rights laws, lawyers have led the way. Lawyers throughout history have made sacrifices for freedoms that we have in our country. There have been attorneys who've given up prosperous lifestyles, popularity, friends, to see that the constitutional right of all citizens were protected. Now, I've been a lawyer for over 27 years. I know what you're thinking, what an old guy. But you know what? I never regretted for one day being an attorney or a judge. I still have a great excitement about being a part of this great profession. My law clerks will tell you on days that we have jury trials, I'm like a child at Christmas time. I'm excited about being there. You too should be excited about becoming a part of this great profession. As one law professor here at Georgia described it, it's like having fire inside. And I don't think he's talking about how you feel after a Friday or Saturday night at downtown Athens. It's a passion. It's a passion for the law, a passion to help people through the law, a devotion to the rule of law. Now, being a lawyer does not entitle you to special treatment, and being a lawyer does not make you better than anyone else. It is a privilege that you must respect and be thankful for the opportunity for. It is a tremendous honor to have someone trust you to represent them. In a few months, people will begin to pay you a lot of money for your opinion and ideas. Yeah, I know that's mind-boggling. But you know what? It's an honor. You'll be given a chance to protect someone's liberty, property rights, and sometimes even their life. Sometimes you will work with individuals who will entrust with you everything they own in life. And that's the ultimate trust. Some of you will have the opportunity to teach the law and help develop legal minds. And that's a great honor. To have the opportunity, as some of you will have, to stay in a courtroom one day and say, I represent the state of Georgia, or I represent the United States of America, or have an opportunity to stay in a courtroom one day next to an individual who by no means had the financial ability to afford an attorney, yet you will be there at that person, and you will be given everything you have to make sure that person receives the same justice as the person who has $1 million. In fact, one day some of you may even have the great and wonderful experience of arguing a case for the United States Supreme Court, arguing a case that may affect the lives of thousands or millions of people. Others of you may never argue a case for the United States Supreme Court, and you may never be involved in a case that affects the lives of thousands of individuals. But you may have that one case one day that you'll represent a family. And what you do for that family will change their lives, will help their lives. Now, that case may never appear in the history books like Supreme Court cases, but to that family, that will be the greatest case ever. It is an opportunity that you should not take for granted. When you respect the opportunity, or when you fail to respect the opportunity you've been given, it can easily be taken away, and you can lose it in an instant. When given a chance, give your best. Respect your clients. Respect the opportunity that you have been given. Use the skills you've been taught to the best of your ability. Be a visionary and look beyond what's been done in the past and see all the possibilities that can be accomplished now and in the future. Sometimes, new ideas and visions, though, come with costs. Loss of status, a loss of friendship. And let me tell you something that's really going to shock you. Sometimes you will find that change is met with resistance. Yet your plans, your vision, can be the one that makes life better for millions of people. Don't settle for something that's not the best. Don't settle for a reason that something cannot be done, but ask the question, why not? Why not me? And finally, I highly recommend to you that one of the best ways to represent the legal profession is through community service. With all the luxuries and privileges that exist in the world today, there are still plenty of problems and despair. And one of the greatest opportunities you will have as a lawyer is serving other people. Community service, in my opinion, is a privilege. Your law degree will give you a chance to help a lot of people. Former President Theodore Roosevelt once said, "No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care." What would you say when you were asked, how well did you work to make sure that the knowledge you have about the law helps someone? You enjoy sitting here in this class today because of the sacrifices that have been made by others. But you think for a second, think how life would be if there had not been people willing to share their knowledge, training, money, and talents so that you could have a better life. You can, I promise you, make a difference in society. You can enable your community to become better through your efforts. Therefore, today, I challenge you to make one of your goals community service. When I look at this class, I see the future leaders in the world, our nation, and the state. The opportunity will present itself, but the question is, will you accept that opportunity? It is often noted that when the late Martin Luther King Jr. talked about his funeral, and someone asked him, "What do you want them to say at your eulogy?" And he said, "Well, whoever preaches it, tell them don't talk too long." But he also said, if they have to say something, tell them don't mention the 300 or 400 awards I received. Don't mention what school I attended. Tell them don't mention anything about the Nobel Peace Prize. He said, but just tell them to say that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to give his life serving others. He tried to feed the hungry. He tried to love and serve humanity. And the last thing he said, tell them, and I address this directly to you, tell them that I was a drum major for justice. Today I challenge you to become drum majors for justice. Make a difference in your community. As drum majors, you are expected to be out front and leaders in your community. In some communities, you will be the symbol of the law. We have to make sure, as lawyers, that the law is fair to everyone. And as our communities depend on us to take the lead. As drum majors for justice, I'm sure you will take us to greater heights, and that communities will thrive because of your service. Because you are a UGA Law School graduate, and you will come to the time when it's come time to stand up. And I say today, it is now your time. I know as lawyers, you will represent the highest standard of the legal profession. You will have the moral courage and the principal devotion to the law and equal justice. So again, I want to congratulate you, class of 2015, and I want you to remember one last thing. It's great to be a Georgia Bulldog. Thank you.
Well, members of the class of 2015, like Judge Jones says, it's now your time. We begin by recognizing our foreign law students. International law is one of the crown jewels of the University of Georgia School of Law. And over my left shoulder stands Dean Rusk Hall, in honor of the former Secretary of State, a Georgia native, who was a member of our faculty for 14 years, following his distinguished career in government service. True to Rusk's legacy, for 45 years, foreign law students have studied alongside the Juris Doctor candidates. Today, not only do we honor those foreign law students who are graduating, we honor those alums of the foreign law students who return every 5 years to reconnect with their alma mater. To acknowledge those students and to acknowledge our former law students as we begin our ceremony, let me invite to the podium Associate Dean for International Programs and Strategic Initiatives, Diane Amon, who will introduce our foreign law students. And let me ask President Moorhead, Judge Jones, and Jen Jordan to join me at the podium and congratulate these law students as they cross the stage.
Thank you, Dean Rutledge. In May of 1970, the University of Georgia School of Law awarded its first ever Master of Laws, or LLM, degree to Edward de Jager of Brussels, Belgium, where he is still a practicing attorney. In the ensuing 45 years, we have bestowed this degree upon more than 400 foreign-trained lawyers, some of whom, as Dean Rutledge said, are here today as part of their alumni reunion return to Athens, and we're happy to have them here this week. This past academic year, we welcomed 15 such lawyers from China, Germany, Argentina, Malaysia, Egypt, Guyana, Turkey, the United Kingdom, Nigeria, and Zimbabwe. The LLM degree was formally conferred on them last week at a graduate school ceremony. Since then, one of them, Ilyas Golkuku, has returned home. The rest are here today to celebrate with us, and so it is my honor to welcome each of the other members of the Georgia Law LLM class of 2015 to the stage in order that he or she may receive congratulations from President Moorhead, Dean Rutledge, and our honored guests. I believe that you should stand and Charles Bamikole Adegoke. Hassan Ahmed. Si Chen. Dudley Chuan Dore. Kenita Cumberbatch Walcott. Pedro Dorado. Tobias Karl Tenke. Axel Jost. Jessica Marie Case Smith. Kwa Sun. Lei Wang. Min Yi Yao. Fei Wu. Yili Qiao. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Amon. Let me now introduce Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Lonnie T. Brown, Jr. Dean Brown serves as the Associate Dean for the Law School and holds the A. Gus Cleveland Distinguished Chair of Legal Ethics in the Professionalism. Dean Brown will introduce the faculty and the faculty marshals who will assist us in conferring the degrees on the Juris Doctor candidates. Dean Brown.
Good morning. Our students are deservedly the focal point of today's commencement ceremony. They are an extraordinary group of young men and women who have worked diligently over the past 3 years to earn the starring role that they occupy today as graduates of this wonderful institution and as soon-to-be members of our most noble profession. However, they didn't achieve this lofty status without a little help from a very accomplished and talented supporting cast. I'm referring, of course, to our distinguished faculty. These dedicated individuals have taught, counseled, and motivated the class of 2015 in preparation for the professional journey upon which they are about to embark. My faculty colleagues are outstanding scholars, committed and active members of the university, law school, and broader communities, and most importantly, they are tremendous teachers, profoundly devoted to the education of our students. The class of 2015 has been enlightened, influenced, and inspired by some of the best professors that you will find anywhere. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the faculty of the University of Georgia School of Law, and I ask that they stand to be recognized and thanked. Each year, 2 members of the law school faculty are selected by the graduating class to serve as honorary marshals. Being chosen is a distinct honor, and the role that these special individuals play could not be more important. They are entrusted with the task of reading and pronouncing correctly the names of our graduates as they come forward to receive their diplomas. The 2 faculty marshals for the class of 2015 are Professors David Shipley and Christian Turner. Professor Shipley joined the Georgia Law faculty as dean in July of 1998 and served in that capacity with distinction until June of 2003, at which point our students were fortunate to have him become fully engaged in the classroom as the Thomas R. Cobb Professor of Law. As a testament to his prowess as a teacher, scholar, and stalwart university citizen, he was awarded the Georgia Athletic Association Professorship in 2012. Professor Shipley teaches civil procedure, copyright law, administrative law, and remedies. He was also instrumental in the establishment of the law school's semester abroad program at Oxford University. His commitment to our students has been acknowledged on multiple occasions during his tenure. He is a 3-time recipient of the John C. O'Byrne Memorial Award for significant contributions furthering student-faculty relations, and this is the 5th time that he has been selected to serve as a faculty marshal. Professor Shipley has also been a remarkably dedicated and effective leader within the university throughout his career, serving as UGA's faculty athletics representative to the NCAA and the SEC, chair of the University Council's Executive Committee, and longtime chair of the university's Curriculum Committee, among many other things. Before coming to Georgia, Professor Shipley was Dean and Professor of Law at the University of Kentucky College of Law, Dean and Professor of Law at the University of Mississippi School of Law, and Associate Dean for Administration and Professor of Law at the University of South Carolina School of Law. Professor Shipley earned his undergraduate degree in history with highest honors from Oberlin College and his law degree from the University of Chicago, where he was executive editor of the Chicago Law Review. Professor Christian Turner joined the law school's faculty in 2007 as an assistant professor and was promoted to associate professor with tenure in 2013. His areas of expertise include property law, natural resources law, and regulation of knowledge and information. Before coming to Georgia, he was a visiting assistant professor at Fordham University School of Law after having served as an associate with the law firm of Wigan and Dana in Connecticut, and as a judicial clerk for the Honorable Guido Calabresi of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. Professor Turner has also interned with the White House Council on Environmental Quality. His scholarship has been published in the Florida Law Review, the Florida State Law Review, and the Georgia Law Review, among others. Professor Turner is a highly regarded classroom teacher and is rightly beloved by the student body. His thoughtful, caring, and unfailing commitment to our students has been duly recognized by graduating classes on 4 separate occasions through his receipt of the John C. O'Byrne Memorial Award for significant contributions furthering student-faculty relations. Professor Turner graduated magna cum laude from the University of South Carolina with a BS in mathematics, where he was named Mathematics Undergraduate of the Year. He earned his PhD from Texas A&M University in 1999, and because he needed just a little more education, earned his JD from Stanford Law School in 2002. While at Stanford, Professor Turner notably served as president of the Stanford Law Review and was inducted into the Order of the Coif. Ladies and gentlemen, our faculty marshals.
And as our faculty marshals prepare to read the names of our graduates, let me now invite President Jerry Moorhead, member of the class of 1980, to the podium to confer the degree on the Juris Doctor candidates. President Moorhead.
Thank you, Dean Rutledge, and congratulations on your first commencement ceremony as Dean of the Law School. I know you are working very hard to move our great law school forward into the future. Judge Jones, thank you for those inspiring words. I know I join everyone present today in sharing a deep appreciation for your many years of distinguished service to this institution, to the state of Georgia, and to our country. And your career is a clear reminder to all of us of the opportunities and responsibilities that come along with a law degree from America's first state-chartered university. Thank you, Judge. We are honored today that University System of Georgia Board of Regents member Sachin Salandra could be with us here today as well. He is a family friend of Kate Bell and Peyton Bell, who are graduating today. Regent Salandra, we appreciate your ongoing support of the University of Georgia and higher education in the state of Georgia. And I have certainly enjoyed working this year with Peyton in his role as president of the Graduate Student Association for the university. Thank you, Regent, for being with us. And we are particularly delighted to have retired Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Georgia, George Carley, with us today as well. Justice Carley, as was mentioned earlier, holds both a bachelor's degree and a law degree from this institution. But what you should also know is he has been a great mentor and friend to so many graduates of the University of Georgia School of Law, and I count myself among those. Justice Carley, thank you for being with us today, and thank you for your ongoing support of the University of Georgia and our law school. As a proud alumnus of the University of Georgia Law School, it's truly a pleasure to be a part of this very special ceremony. As was the case when I graduated in 1980, the strength of our law school is created by the outstanding faculty who lead it, faculty who are outstanding scholars, great teachers, devoted mentors to their students. And I also want to join in expressing my sincere gratitude to the faculty for preparing our law students for the challenging and rewarding road that lies ahead. I also want to join in thanking parents and supporters that are here today. The saying goes, and we know it's true, that behind every successful student, there are many others providing that important and key support. And finally, to the class of 2015, let me congratulate you on reaching this significant milestone. After years of rigorous study, today is your day, and I look forward to the great services that you are going to provide others in the future. That is what you have been prepared to do as a graduate of the University of Georgia School of Law, and that is what the world now expects of you as a graduate of this great institution. And now, for the moment for which you've all been waiting, the conferral of degrees. Would the class please rise? By the power vested in me as president of the University of Georgia, by the Board of Regents of the University System of Georgia, I confer upon you the degree Juris Doctor with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereto appertaining. Congratulations. All of you except those in the front row may now be seated, and you will be conducted to the stage in proper order. Congratulations.
Stephanie Ann Adrian. Crichton T. Allen. Bridget Rogers Anderson. Aaron Anglin. Sergio C. Radella Ibarra. Robert Simpson Arrington. Kristen Atkinson. Dustin Carter Banks. Kaleem Anthony Barclay. Christina L. Barrett. Catherine Parker Bell. Thomas Peyton Bell. Tiana Bethune. Admiral M. Boggs. Caroline H. Bradley. Kirk P. Bremer. Carrie Brooks. Courtney Lee Broussard. Russell Alexander Brown. Candace Renee Bryant. Garrett S. Burrell. Thomas Edward Buscemi. Amanda Diane Butterworth. Isabel Cadiz. Colton Ralph Caldwell. Daniel Joseph Campen. Jonathan Carl. Hunter Braxton Carpenter. Imani J. Carter. Brandy L. Chabrier. Haley Elizabeth Chafin. Colin B. Connor. Emily Carlton Cook. Michelle E. Gilsenrat Davis. Lee A. Deneen. Amy Lynn Diddish. Thomas Dillard. Joshua H. Dormany. LaRon Ellis Dunham. I think I know your name. Mary Carolyn Dyke. Brian Tanner Easley. Warama Ajaha.
Thank you.
Jenna Grace Emery. Rachel Lee Etheridge. Emily Nicole Evans. Candace Farmer. Spencer Farmery. Samantha Marie Fassett. Jared A. Ferenzi. Bailey Wren Fields. Evelyn Ann French. Christopher Gable. Daviana Marie Ladson. Ellie David Geffen. Daniel James Gibbs. Paul Anderson Gilmer. Corey Joseph Myers Gert. Robert Gary Goff Jr. Mark E. Grafton. John R. Graham. Michael Franklin Green Jr. Fadi Shadi Green. Christopher Matthew Gregory. Mahek Mahbub Hussein. Monica Bergeon Hatfield. Jill Thrasher Hauserman. Meredith Mackenzie Head. Eric A. Heath. Sarah Grace Hegner. Ashley O. Henson. Leanne Pilar Hernandez. Ryan Michael Heron. Hallie Ann Hill. Sarah A. Hill. Zahn Hostetter. Chelsea Elizabeth Ivy. Jayon Jodri Jackson. Greg M. Jacobson. Yulin Emily Jang. Hannah Elizabeth Gerals. Michael A. Johnson. Hunter Lee Jones. Whitney Taylor Judson. Nicole Colley. Meredith Laughlin Kane. Zachary J. Kelleher. Cheryl D. Kelly. Sarah Mae Kessler. Hillary Rensink Kinsey. Scott Allen Lanier. Sakina Camilla Lieben Yearwood. Ann Tipton Leslie. Ricardo Antonio Lopez. Laura Lukert.
Alicia N. Luncheon. Michael George McBride. Stephen Michael Madison. Kristen Elizabeth Malcolm. Andrew Doyle Mason. Amanda Pennington McBride. Michael Chase McCallum. Chelsea Nicole McDade. Amanda M. McDowell. Justin Willis McKiffin. Sarah Christine McMahon. Kawana Anise McMichael. Kevin Mayer. Leah G. Malikian. Matthew C. Mickelson. Alexa Minot Milner. Carrie Allen Miller. Ross Miskelly. Carrie Moss. Patrick Allen Najar. Benjamin Newell. Mary Catherine O'Brien. Veronica Margaret O'Grady. Mitchell W. O'Hara. Shannon Colleen O'Reilly. Demetrius Rashad Paget. Andrew Jacob Parker. Brittany L. Parks. Allison Kathleen Parrish. Michael Bradford Patterson. Jordan Wilkes Peeler. Nicole Lena Penn. Joseph Cole Phillips. Trevor Pierce. I got this one. Davis Shirley Popper. James Lawrence Powers. Dove Preminger. Matthew Thomas Quillian. Matthew Michael Ramsey. George Simpson Ray. Matthew Stephen Resor. Sarah Ann Richards. Amanda Richardson. Maria del Rosario Rivera Diaz. Cameron Roberts. Matthew Rockland. Hannah Elise Rogers. Nicola Marie Rossi. Antonio Sanguesa Jr. Nathaniel David Scheffler. Emily R. Scheibel. John Eric Schneider. Spencer Elizabeth Scholl. Alexander F. Schwal. Lindsay Beth Shavico. Kyle Patrick Shaughnessy. Stephanie Alicia Sharif. Jinshi Shi and company. Andy Shen. Alexandra Claire Smith. William Alexander Smith. I know you. Nicholas Miguel Stanoyevich. Trisha Janae Starks. Joshua Harvey Stein. Brian David Stoltz. Michael L. Stoyer. Michael Sullivan. Chelsea Grace Swanson. Amanda Lee Sicoli. Kristen E. Thompson. Shayna Olivia Thompson. Anthony Joseph Tremello. Amelia Grace Trotter. James M. Tucker. Brittany Bell Turner. Gordon G. Van Remen II. Elizabeth Hannah Verner. Lauren Elise Washington. Caroline Weldon. Jacob Albert Weldon. Rebecca Carol White. Andrew M. Whitaker. Andrew Hughes Wiles. Philip Jerry Wilkie Jr. Iman Williams. Quentin Eugene Wilson. Ashley Renee Wright. David C. Wright. Delos Harley Yancey IV. And Patrick Jordan Zichterman.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the University of Georgia School of Law class of 2015.